Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here, and we're having a look today at one of the new dungeons from Legion, the Vault of the Wardens. Now, so far, this is my favourite dungeon that I've been in. The bosses aren't overly hard or anything like that, but just the feel, the vibe, the fucking place is just awesome. It has a really cool vibe about it, and the bosses are pretty cool. So, my favourite so far, and this one that's been filmed was the first time any of us had been in here. So you kind of get a bit of the ugly, I suppose, as we were figuring out as we go, but we did manage to get through it all, no worries. And once again, I am just going to give the go through the bosses. I'm not going to include the trash or anything like that. So getting into it, the first boss is Tirith and Salthriel, or something to that nature. I'm sure I've butchered that. Now, Tirith starts off in Blood Elf form, and he'll use Metamorphosis at about 50%. He'll change into either Havoc or Vengeance, and from that he'll get different abilities, and the form that Old Mate chooses will vary from week to week. So 3 abilities. The first one he just cast before is Dark Strikes. Now, this is a shadow energy buff he puts on himself, and while he's got this buff up, if he hits the tank without active mitigation, he will get a 15-second absorb shell. So when he uses Dark Strikes as a tank, you have to make sure you have an active mitigation ability lined up for that. The second one, and you can see there's some fire on the ground, is from the Furious Blast, which unleashes a blast of energy, causing fire damage to all players within. It says 100 yards on the tooltip at the moment, and leaves behind the little fire circles. Now you can see that he's gone into Vengeance spec for his demonic switch, and he gets a new ability from this called Fell Mortar, which calls down Fell Mortars, striking random locations. And again, you can see that green shit on the ground, you just don't want to stand in it. He will no longer cast Furious Blast while he is in this spec. If he had have gone Havoc, he'll periodically cast Immolates on everybody. But as I said, he's gone Vengeance, so he loses Fell Blast and he gains Fell Mortar. He'll also throw his glaives about, and they'll be linked with the Fell Chain, but you can jump over that chain. You can see they just spin around the room. And that is pretty much it, guys. This, again, wasn't really hard. Make sure, obviously, that you've got a defensive lined up for when he does the Dark Strikes. Otherwise, it's going to take a little bit longer. But otherwise, you really shouldn't have too many issues on that first boss, and it was a pretty cool fight. Number 2. This boss is interesting. Inquisitor Tormentorum. I didn't even know this was a boss. We were running around looking for where to go, and someone pinged on the map and said, here. And I just ran in and pulled it, and away we went, and I was like, this mob, and it teleports around, and I was like, what the fuck is this mob doing? It was actually a boss. So it's got 2 abilities, and it will open the prisons up and free adds from them. So the first ability is Soul Swap. How good was that? Fell Devastation into fucking clean air. The first ability is Sap Soul. So it's interruptible, and you want to make sure you interrupt it. Inquisitor will sap the soul of the target. The next ability used by that target will have its cooldown increased by 10 seconds. So make sure that you are interrupting Sap Soul. The second ability he's got is called Inquisitor's Stare, or Inquisitive Stare, I should say. So he'll scan the thoughts of all party members, disorientating them after 3 seconds. Now, the way you negate this effect and don't get disorientated is to simply face him. So think of it as a reverse flashbang, so a bang, if you will. But just make sure you're looking at the boss. You won't have any issues with this. You can see he teleports around. He'll go over to the prisons here, and he'll let out adds. And you want to kill the adds. They'll cast Mind Flays and Void Bolts and all that kind of stuff. And I tried to change them in, but obviously on the Demon Hunter it doesn't have as great a range, it seems, as the DK's Gorfang Grasp at the moment. I should also mention as well, in my Demon Hunter setup guide, I talked about running Feed the Demon. I'm actually running Fell Devastation at the moment in all 5-mans I'm doing. It does insane damage. The healing from it is really good as well. And at the moment, I haven't had any real need to go to Feed the Demon. But Fell Devastation is actually really fucking good, whether or not it hits the same way when it goes to live or not. But at the moment, I'm running Fell Devastation for all my 5-mans. So that was the second boss, guys, Inquisitor. Pretty lackluster, really. Number 3 is Glaser. Now, Glaser, apparently in the first phase, you can actually follow players around the room and things like that, the tooltip says. However, I just tanked him in the middle for the whole thing, and that's just where he stayed. And again, I only find some of this stuff out stuff about the fights after I go and read about it. As I said, we just sort of charged in here, and yeah, they're normal dungeons, so at 110 you're not probably going to have too many issues. So he's got 3 abilities you need to watch out for, and the first one is pulses, and they are the blue shit that is running around in puddle format on the ground here, and pretty much they'll just bounce around the entire platform until they either hit you or they hit him. If they hit him, it does decent damage to him, and obviously if you can get them to hit him, then that is fantastic. He'll do another ability called Lingering Gaze, which creates a zone of shadow damage. Players who are caught in this take damage and are slowed. And the third ability is Focus, which he's doing right now. He'll focus his energy into a beam as such that will chase a random player around until you hit these mirrors. And what you want to do is you want to flick them around to bounce the beam back at him. So it is worth noting that you can just all you need to do is run over, click the lenses as such. The beam will go out in the direction whichever way the lens is facing, and you just want to direct them back to hit him. The tooltip does state that when a lens is hit by a pulse, that shit that's bouncing around the ground, it will overload and explode, dealing fire damage to all party members, though I haven't had that happen yet, so I can't really comment on it. Radiation, when he's in that focus mode, he'll actually be radiating energy, which will inflict damage to all players in the room. So the longer that beam doesn't hit him to take that focus off, the more damage you're going to take. And obviously if you run through the beam, you're going to take fire damage as well, so avoid doing that. So that is pretty much it for that boss, guys. Number 4 is Ash Golem. And this boss dies really fucking quick, and we probably could have killed it even quicker. So Ash Golem gradually fills up, or the idea is that he's going to gradually fill up the player space with more and more lava until the room's countermeasures kick in and freeze him, which make him brittle and he takes increased damage. So he's got 3 abilities. One is Pyroclast, which he's done out there, and he throws a lava ball at a random player. When it lands, it spawns a volcano, which you can see it's doing now, and it will cause fire damage to anyone near it. It will also spawn out little adds called embers, which you can't tank as the tank, so don't worry about it. The second ability he's doing now is Lava Wreath, which creates a big ring of lava that spew out, and you can see they're all moving in different directions there. And again, you just don't want to stand in them. The third ability which he's about to do is Fissure, which stomps the ground, causing a fissure to erupt in a straight line on the platform towards the current target, which is the tank. Now, I don't know if the line is supposed to follow you or not. You can see it is following us. I don't know if that's what's supposed to happen or not, but that is what's happening at the moment. And they are pretty much the 3 abilities you have to contend with. Now, you can see the room's countermeasures have kicked in and he's gone brittle. Now, we shouldn't be killing the adds. We all just should have been straight onto him, and he probably already would have been dead because we nearly kill him before he comes out of brittle. Now, brittle's very much like Witherbark in Bloom, so he takes 100% increased damage. And you can see we get him to about 3%. So if we hadn't been trying to kill the adds, we could have just cleaned him up there. So really quick and easy boss. With the lava on the ground too, it is worth mentioning if you walk over it, you'll absorb it and take damage over the 3 seconds. Otherwise, if an ember walks through it, just be wary. If they walk through the lava, they'll explode about 5 seconds later and do a bit of damage. The last boss in here, guys, now this boss actually was really good. I really did enjoy this boss, and it was fun figuring it out. Cortana Felsong. So she's got 8 abilities as such to deal with, and she gains an extra one in heroic mode called Creeping Doom, but I'll get to that when I make that guide. So this was actually a really cool fight. And as I said, I've really enjoyed this dungeon, so I'll try and break this one down as best as I can. So Alun's Light is, and you'll have experienced this on the way up to her, it makes you immune to the effects of one of her abilities called Deepening Shadows, and reveals enemies and herself in the shadows. So we had a range taking this, as it was just easy for them to move around, and the light's obtained from the glowing sentry on the bridgeway. So she also has an ability called Shadow Step, where she'll cloak herself in the shadows, and the only way to find her is by using Alun's Light. So if you don't find her, she'll stay hidden for a minute, and then she'll come out. Now, while she's hidden, she will summon a bunch of Felglaives, which you can see spinning around the map. So you want to try and find her as quick as possible. Number 3 is Deepening Shadows, which creates a pool. Now, as a tank, guys, don't ever come over here. This was the dumbest fucking thing I could have done, because the next 2 abilities I'm going to mention will knock you off the edge. So, yeah. Deepening shadows, back to that, it's a pool of shadow on the ground. You can see it over there at the moment. You need the light and you need to go and stand in it. It's like a defile that just keeps spreading out. If you've got the light, you're able to go and stand in the middle of it and you can see it just reduces. So the abilities that put me off the edge, the knockdown kick. So she does a Patrick Swayze roundhouse kick that knocks you on your ass, and she also does a thing called turn kick, which is similar to Warlord, Zayla, and UBRS, which will punch you off the edge. So don't run over to the edge to help your group with the ads if the cooldown for a turn kick is coming up, because you'll just get punted off the edge like me, which could have resulted in a wipe. Number 6, the 6th ability is Detonating Moonglaive. She'll throw a glaive at a random location. Anyone caught in its path will cause it to explode in a 10-yard radius. Number 7 is those Fell Glaives, which I've already kind of mentioned. She creates several Fell Glaives that spiral out around the platform when she's in that shadow step. And the last one is the Avatars of Vengeance that we've been dealing with in the corners and whatnot. So she'll summon an avatar at a nearby location that will summon Spirits of Vengeance. They can only be seen using the Alloon's Light, which you can see we just killed one over there. So you want to try and find them ASAP and kill them. And that is about it, guys. It's a fairly fun fight. Again, if there's going to be any fight you're going to have trouble with in here, it's going to be this one. Though once you sort of iron everything out, it's really not too bad. It actually really was quite an enjoyable fight. And again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this dungeon just has a really, really cool vibe about it. So, really good one, and really looking forward to doing this one on Mythic and things like that. So, thanks very much again for checking out the guide, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see from the Legion beta, and I'll do my very best to get it out. But otherwise, I'll see you all next time, and thanks very much. See you guys.